There's something about the stillness of Hogwarts at night, the way the castle seems to hold its breath, the shadows stretching longer, the whispers of secrets half remembered. And tonight, one brave soul is about to step into that silence, chasing a mystery as deep and dark as the waters of the Black Lake itself. Picture this: Elara Nightshade, a Gryffindor with a heart full of curiosity, tiptoeing past the sleeping portraits, her fingers clutching an ancient map marked with faded ink. The legend scrawled across it speaks of a hidden chamber, lost beneath the lake's surface, a secret so powerful it's been guarded for centuries, and she's determined to find it. Where are you joining us from tonight? Let us know in the comments what time is it where you are, and does your own world feel as alive with mystery as Hogwarts does right now? The Black Lake has always been more than just a body of water at Hogwarts. Its depths are home to merpeople, giant squid, and rumors of something far older, something even the teachers refuse to speak of. Alara's heard the stories, whispers of a door that only appears under the light of a blood moon, a passage that leads to a place untouched by time. Some say it's where the founders hid their most dangerous secrets. Others believe it's guarded by creatures not even magic can fully explain. But one thing's certain: no student has ever dared to search for it. Until now, as Alara stands at the water's edge, the cold mist curling around her ankles, she hesitates. The risk is real: expulsion, danger, even the wrath of whatever lurks below. But the pull of the unknown is stronger. What if the legends are true? What if the answers to Hogwarts' greatest unsolved mysteries are waiting just beneath the surface? Tonight, we're diving into the enigma of the Black Lake, unraveling the tales, the magic, and the terrifying possibilities hidden in its depths. So grab your cloak, steady your nerves, and let's uncover the truth together. Because some secrets aren't meant to stay buried forever. The moment the cold water closes over her head, Alara's heartbeat pounds in her ears, louder than the muffled silence of the lake. The bubblehead charm keeps her breathing steady, but nothing can dull the chill seeping into her bones, or the way the darkness presses in from all sides. Her wand light cuts a shaky path through the water, illuminating drifting silt and the occasional flash of silver from fish darting away. Then carvings. Ancient, worn grooves cut into the stone lake bed, spiraling outward like the threads of a spider's web, too precise to be natural. Her fingers brush the markings, and for a split second, the water itself seems to hum. That's when she sees it, a shadow, sleek and swift, gliding just beyond the edge of her light. It's gone before she can turn, but the whispers surge louder, twisting around her like currents. They're not coming from the water. They're in her head, a chorus of voices murmuring in a language that prickles at her memory. Turn back, they seem to say. But the carvings, they tell a story, one she's desperate to read. The shadow moves again, closer this time, and her breath catches. Whatever's down here with her, it isn't human. And it's watching. Alara's hand flies to her wand as the Merperson emerges from the shadows, their silver scales catching the dim glow of her charm, their dark eyes sharp with wary intelligence. The creature doesn't attack. Instead, they tilt their head, webbed fingers tracing the ancient carvings before fixing Alara with a look that borders on pity. Their voice is a rasp of bubbles and clicks, but one word cuts through clearly: sleeping. They gesture downward, toward the lake's deepest trench, then press webbed palms together in warning. A tremor runs through the water, as if the very depths shudder at the thought. Legends whisper of more than merfolk in these waters, of things that slumbered when Hogwarts was young, bound by magic older than the founders. The Merperson's gaze drifts to the carvings again, and their expression tightens. Those symbols aren't just markings, they're wards. Every instinct screams at Alara to listen, to kick toward the surface, and leave this mystery untouched. But the carvings, they're familiar. The spiral isn't just a pattern. It matches the emblem on a tattered page from Secrets of the Ancient Keepers, a book she'd found hidden behind a loose stone in the Gryffindor common room. Coincidence doesn't exist in magic. This is a thread, frayed but unbroken, tying her to whatever lies below. The Merperson hisses as she reaches for her map, their tail lashing the water in agitation. Their warning is clear. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. The choice hangs heavy. Turn back, and the secret stays buried, the whispers in her head unanswered. Press forward, and she might unravel the truth, or become another cautionary tale, a name spoken in hushed tones by future students daring to linger too long at the lake's edge. The water grows colder, the shadows shift, and for the first time, Alara wonders if curiosity alone is enough to face what even the merfolk fear. The kelp parts under Alara's trembling fingers, revealing a gap in the stone just wide enough to slip through. The moment she does, the water changes not just the temperature, but the way it moves, thick and sluggish, as if the lake itself is holding its breath. The glow from the runes lining the chamber walls isn't the cool blue of wandlight, but a deep, flickering gold, pulsing in rhythm with something far below. It feels alive. The door looms ahead, its surface etched with jagged symbols that twist under her gaze, shifting like living ink. She doesn't need to understand the language to know what they are. Warnings, pleas, maybe even a last attempt to keep whatever's sealed inside from ever waking. But the carvings leading here, they weren't just directions. They were an invitation. The same spiral from the book, the same pattern that's been appearing in the margins of her notes for weeks, as if the castle itself has been guiding her. The air, or what passes for air down here, crackles with old magic, the kind that sticks to your skin and hums in your teeth. Every instinct tells her to turn back, but then the runes flare brighter, and for a heartbeat, she swears she hears a voice. Not the whispers from before. This one is clear, almost familiar. The door isn't locked. That's the terrifying part. There's no keyhole, no spell to undo, just a single hand-shaped indentation in the center, dusted with centuries of silt. All she has to do is press her palm against it, but the warnings aren't just carved into the door. They are in the way the water pulls at her robes, the way the Merperson's fear echoed in their eyes. Some secrets aren't meant to be found. Some doors aren't meant to be opened. And yet, what if the thing sleeping behind that door is the reason the Black Lake has always felt wrong? What if it's the answer to every unanswered question Hogwarts has ever kept buried? Her hand hovers, the runes pulse faster, and then, from the darkness beyond the door, something pulses back. Whispers coil around Alara's thoughts like tendrils of smoke, twisting into words she can almost understand. The moment her fingers brush the runes, the chamber vanishes, replaced by flashes of another time. A wizard in robes darker than the lake's depths stands where she now floats, his hands pressed to the same door, his face alight with a hunger that makes her stomach lurch. The vision fractures, a surge of light, a scream choked by water, then silence. The whispers sharpen, desperate now. Leave, they beg, their voices frayed with centuries of fear. Before it wakes, her pulse hammers in her throat as the truth crashes over her. This isn't just a door, it's a seal, and whatever writhes behind it isn't some relic of the past, it's alive, straining against the magic that binds it. The runes under her palms grow hotter, their glow throbbing like a heartbeat. Every instinct tells her to pull away, but the visions won't release her. She sees the vanished wizard again, his eyes wide with dawning horror as the carvings on the door slither like serpents, reshaping themselves into a single, pulsing warning. The same symbol now burns against her own skin, a jagged line cleft by a circle, the mark of a magic older than any spell she's ever studied, protection or punishment. The whispers won't say, but the door it's moving, not opening, breathing. A sound tears through the water, a low, shuddering groan, as if the lake itself is in pain. The runes flicker wildly, their light dimming where her fingers still cling. That's when she feels it, a presence, vast and ancient, pressing against the other side of the door. Not pushing, waiting, her breath comes in sharp, panicked bursts. The wizard in her vision had power, knowledge, and still he failed. What chance does a curious student with a borrowed map have? But as the whispers rise to a chorus, Elara realizes something colder. The door wasn't made to keep people out. It was made to keep something in, and she's just woken it up. The runes flicker wildly, their golden light fading like dying embers, and the sudden chill in the water seeps into Elara's very bones. Her bubble-head charm wavers. She can feel the magic straining, the air inside thinning with every passing second. Time isn't just running out, it's slipping through her fingers like the silt swirling around her. The door looms, its ancient carvings now writhing as if alive, the symbols rearranging themselves into something sharper, more urgent. They are not just warnings anymore, they're a countdown. Her fingers tighten around her wand, knuckles white against the current. To leave now would mean abandoning the truth, whatever lies behind that door, whatever secret the founders buried so deep, even the Merpeople fear it. But to stay, to open it, the visions flash again, that desperate wizard, his fate sealed the moment he pressed his hand to the stone. And yet, what if the door wasn't meant to stay shut forever? What if it was waiting for someone with the courage to face what's inside? The water groans again, a sound so deep it vibrates in her ribs. The runes dim further. No spells in her textbooks could prepare her for this. No lecture from Dumbledore, no whispered advice from Hermione's old notes. This is magic older than Hogwarts, wilder than anything she's ever known. And it's calling to her, not in words, in pulls, the same way the castle staircases shift beneath your feet, guiding you where you need to go, even if you don't know why. Her breath hitches. The choice isn't just about curiosity or fear. It's about trust. Trust in the magic that led her here, in the spiral that's been appearing like a beacon in the margins of her life. The door isn't just stone, it's a test, and tests at Hogwarts are always meant to be passed. With a final glance at the crumbling runes, Elara raises her wand. Not to flee, not to fight, but to answer. The incantation spills from her lips, not a spell she's practiced, but one that rises from somewhere deeper, a whisper of magic as old as the lake itself. The water stills, the runes blaze one last brilliant gold, and the door exhales. The seal breaks with a sound like shattered glass, not a crash, a sigh. The darkness beyond isn't empty, it's waiting, and now so is she. The air hums with a sudden, ear-splitting crack as Alara's spell collides with the door. Not the sound of splintering wood, but something far stranger, like time itself shuddering under the strain. The chamber convulses, stone groaning as cracks spiderweb across the floor. Water churns violently, threatening to rip her wand from her grip. Then, silence. A figure coalesces from the swirling currents, its form woven from the same golden light as the dying runes. Tall, gaunt, clad in robes that billow without motion, the guardian's hollow eyes fix on her, and when it speaks, its voice isn't heard, it's felt, vibrating in her ribs like the toll of a drowned bell. 3 questions it intones: answer wisely, or join those who sleep beneath the silt. Her throat tightens, the water around her thickens, pressing in like a vise. The guardian lifts a skeletal hand, and the carvings on the walls peel free, rearranging into a single, pulsing riddle. I speak without a mouth, hear without ears. I am born of shadow, yet feared by the light. What am I? Alara's mind races not just through textbooks, but through the visions, the desperate wizard, his lips moving in silent warning. The whispers in the water, the spiral, always the spiral. An echo, she thinks suddenly, but the guardian's eyes flicker, unsatisfied. The water grows heavier, her bubble head charms straining. The second riddle forms. I am kin to the merfolk, yet bound to the stone. I remember what the lake forgets. What am I? Her fingers brush the carvings again, the ones that felt like wards. A memory keeper, a tomb, but the guardian leans closer, and she realizes the truth. It's not an object, it's the guardian itself. You, she whispers. The light in its chest flares, and the chamber trembles with something like approval. The final riddle is simpler. A single word, etched in blood-red light. Why? No tricks, no wordplay, just a question that cuts deeper than the lake's coldest depths. Why risk everything? Why unravel what the founders sealed? Alara hesitates. Not from fear, but certainty. The answer isn't in books or visions. It's in the way the castle staircases shifted to guide her here, the way the spiral appeared like a trail of breadcrumbs only she could see. Because secrets aren't meant to stay buried, she says, not if the magic wants them found. The guardian goes still. The light in its chest swells, then bursts outward in a shower of sparks. The door yawns open at last, not into darkness, but into a glow so blinding it sears her vision. The guardian's voice echoes one last time, softer now, almost mournful. Then see what your courage has awakened. The blue light doesn't just illuminate the cavern. It pulses, slow and steady, like the creature's unseen heartbeat. Alara's breath catches in her throat as the thing twitches, its serpentine body coiling tighter around itself, though the magical chains hold fast. The whispers aren't just frantic now, they're screaming, overlapping in her mind until she can't tell if they're warnings or pleas. One voice rises above the rest, clear and desperate. It dreams. Don't wake it. The creature's scales aren't just dark. They're voids, swallowing the light around them, and its wings, folded tight against its back. shimmer with edges that seem to fray into the air itself. This isn't just some beast the founders locked away. It's something older, something that predates the castle, maybe even magic as wizards know it. The chains binding it aren't ordinary either. They're woven from runes, shifting and rearranging in a language so ancient, even the symbols feel alive. Every few seconds, one of the runes flares bright white, and the creature flinches in its sleep, a low, guttural sound vibrating through the water. Elara's hand trembles as she reaches for her wand, but she doesn't cast. She can't, because now she sees them, the skeletons. Dozens, maybe hundreds, littering the cavern floor, some still clad in tattered robes, their wands clutched in bony fingers. They weren't just careless intruders, they were sacrifices. A cold realization seeps into her. The guardians, the riddles, the door, they weren't meant to keep people out. They were meant to choose, to find someone worthy of seeing this, someone the magic would trust with its oldest, darkest secret. The whispers hiccup into silence as the creature's massive eye slides open just a slit, but it's enough. The pupil isn't round, it's a spiral, just like the carvings, just like the symbol burned into her palm. And in that moment, Elara understands. This isn't a monster. It's a mirror. The magic didn't bring her here to face it. It brought her here to remember. The tremor hits like a shock wave, throwing Elara backward as the cavern walls shudder violently, sending torrents of silt swirling through the water. The creature's chains groan, their runes flickering erratically. Some snap with a sound like shattered glass, their broken links drifting lazily toward the cavern floor. And then those eyes, twin pools of liquid darkness, slit with spirals of gold, lock onto her with an intelligence that steals her breath. Its voice isn't a sound. It's a presence, slithering into her thoughts, wrapping around her mind like vines. Little witch, it murmurs, the words dripping with amusement and something far older. You've come so far, would you like to see farther? The offer hangs in the water between them, thick as the creature's shadow. Power, real power, the kind that could reshape the world, crack open the heavens, rewrite the very laws of magic. Pushes against her skin, warm as sunlight after the lake's endless chill. It would be so easy. A thought, a nod, the chains tremble again, and for one delirious second, she imagines it. The creature free, its wings unfurling like storm clouds, and her, standing at its side, unshakable. But the skeletons, the whispers, the guardian's warning, her gaze darts to the nearest skull, its hollow sockets staring back, its jaw slack in a final, silent scream. This isn't the first time the creature has made this offer, and the others, they said yes. The realization jolts through her like a hex. The creature doesn't just want freedom, it needs a vessel. A witch or wizard strong enough to bear its magic, to tether it to the world beyond these crumbling chains. The cavern shudders again, and this time, a fissure splits the ceiling, sending chunks of stone plunging into the abyss below. Hogwarts isn't just in danger, it's standing on the edge of an ending. The creature's voice turns sharp, impatient. Choose, it hisses. But Elara's already stepping back, her wand raised, not in defiance, but in something far more dangerous, understanding. The spiral on her palm burns, and suddenly, she knows not how to fight it, but how to speak to it. The language isn't human, it isn't even words. It's the hum of the castle stones, the sigh of the staircases, the whisper of ink on a page. The creature recoils, its eyes narrowing. It hadn't expected that. Above them, the water boils. The water erupts around Alara as she kicks toward the surface, her lungs burning even through the bubblehead charm's fading magic. Behind her, the creature's roar isn't just sound. It's a force, shredding through the lake like a tidal wave, sending shockwaves that punch the breath from her ribs. The merpeople surge alongside her, their webbed hands shoving her upward, their eyes wide with a fear she now shares. They don't speak. They don't need to. The way their tails lash the water, the way they keep glancing back, they've known this moment was inevitable. They've been waiting. Light fractures above her, thin and wavering, the surface so close yet impossibly far. Her charm sputters, the air inside turning stale, and for one heart-stopping second, she imagines the creature's chain snapping, its shadow swallowing the last of the light. Then air, cold and sharp and glorious as she gasps it in, the shouts from the shore already ringing in her ears. The lake thrashes beneath her, waves slapping against the dock like frantic hands. Across the water, the castle's windows glow amber in the pre-dawn gloom. Oblivious, she doesn't waste time. The moment her fingers scrape against wet wood, she's hauling herself up, her robes heavy with lake water, her mind racing faster than her feet. Dumbledore, it has to be Dumbledore, not McGonagall, not Snape, someone who'll understand the weight of what's uncoiling in the depths. Someone who'll believe that the whispers weren't just echoes, but a plea. The merpeople's faces flash in her memory, not anger, not blame, but resignation, as if they'd been counting the years until a curious student finally stumbled upon that door. The grounds blur past as she runs, her breath ragged. Hogwarts has always kept its secrets well, but this one was never meant to stay hidden. The creature's final words slither through her thoughts, darker than the lake's deepest trench. You've only delayed the inevitable. The castle looms ahead, its stones humming with ancient magic. And somewhere beneath her feet, the earth itself shudders. The staff room hums with tension, thicker than the lake's deepest mist. Every whispered argument bouncing off the ancient stone walls like spells gone rogue. Alara's voice barely wavers as she recounts the creature, the chains, the way the water itself seemed to shudder in its presence. But the professors' faces tell her everything. Flitwick's brow knits in concern, his fingers drumming a nervous rhythm on the arm of his chair. Snape's lip curls, his silence more cutting than any dismissal. Stories spun by overeager children, he mutters, are hardly grounds for appending centuries of tradition. But it's McGonagall who meets Alara's gaze, her stern expression softening just enough to betray the flicker of recognition in her eyes. She's seen something like this before, or heard of it. The way her fingers tighten around her teacup says more than words ever could. Dumbledore, though, Dumbledore says nothing. His half-moon spectacles catch the firelight, masking whatever thoughts churn behind those piercing blue eyes. He leans back in his chair, steepling his fingers, and for a heart-stopping moment, Alara swears the room itself holds its breath. When he finally speaks, it's not to her, but to the portrait of Phineas Nigellus behind him. You recall Phineas, the incident of 1893. The painted figure scowls, muttering about hysterical headmasters and wasted time, but the way Dumbledore's gaze lingers on the lake's reflection in the window, sends a chill down Alara's spine. He knows, and yet he hesitates. The staff's voices rise again, fracturing into factions. Hagrid's booming insistence that no beast is beyond reason clashes with Madame Hoot's sharp reminder of the Black Lake's Quidditch bans, the way the water sometimes changes. But time isn't a luxury they have. Every passing minute feels like another chain snapping in the depths, another rumble in the earth that only Alara seems to notice. That's when it hits her. The adults are trapped in their own riddles, their own fears. Dumbledore's silence isn't doubt, it's calculation. And while they debate, the creature beneath the lake grows stronger. Elara's fingers curl around the edge of her robe, the spiral scar on her palm pulsing faintly, as if in warning. The choice isn't just about courage now. It's about what happens when the people you trust most are too bound by history to act. The grandfather clock in the corner ticks louder, each chime a nail in the coffin of her patience. Waiting could mean Hogwarts' ruin. Going back alone could mean hers. But as McGonagall catches her elbow on the way out, pressing a small, silver compass into her hand, one that doesn't point north, but down, Alara understands. Some tests aren't given, they're taken, and the lake isn't waiting for permission to wake. Alara's fingers tremble as she slams the weathered tome shut, the sound echoing through the library's silent shelves like a gunshot. Across the table, Theo and Marin exchange glances, half disbelief, half dawning horror, as the words they've just read refuse to unstick from their minds. Leviathan of the Deep. The name alone feels forbidden. The ink on the brittle pages faded but still pulsing with menace. Theo traces the illustration with a shaking hand, a monstrous silhouette coiled beneath waves, its wings wrapped around a sinking ship. This isn't just some creature, he whispers. It's a predator of magic itself. Marin's usual bravado cracks as she flips through another text, her voice barely audible. Listen to this. The Leviathan does not hunger for flesh, but for the unbroken will of those who wield power. The founders didn't just lock it away. They starved it. The realization hangs between them, thick as the dust motes swirling in the lamplight. Every recorded attempt to bind it ended the same way, with shattered wards and silence. And now, the lake's surface ripples at odd angles, as if something beneath is testing its cage. Theo's chair scrapes back suddenly. We need more than books. His gaze flicks to the window, where the first hints of dawn tinge the sky. If the wards are failing, we need someone who understands old magic, someone who's been down there. The unspoken name lingers, the Merpeople, but their alliance with Hogwarts has always been uneasy, their warnings offered in clicks and wary glances. Time slips through their fingers like sand. The library's clock ticks louder, each second a hammer fall. Marin shoves a handful of scribbled notes into her bag, her jaw set. Then we don't ask for help, she mutters. We trade. Her hand dips into her pocket, pulling out a vial of swirling silver, a memory stolen from the pensive in Dumbledore's office last year. Something they've wanted for centuries, a glimpse of the world above. Theo's breath catches. It's reckless, it's brilliant, it might be their only chance. As they race toward the lake, the water doesn't just ripple, it twitches, as if dreaming of the storm to come. The vial of stolen memory glints in Marin's palm like captured moonlight as they huddle at the lake's edge, the pre-dawn air sharp with the scent of damp earth and something far older ozone, like the moment before a curse strikes. Theo's hands shake as he arranges their scavenged supplies. Crushed moonstone for binding, a stolen silver dagger from the potions cabinet, and a scrap of parchment, scribbled with half-remembered runes from magic, most evile. None of it feels like enough. The merpeople watch from the shallows, their eyes reflecting the dim glow not with hope, but grim understanding. They've seen this before. Elara's fingers hover over the spiral scar on her palm, now pulsing in time with the distant thrums beneath the water. Every throb is a reminder. She woke this. She has to end it. We need something older than the Founder's magic. She murmurs, turning the dagger over. The edge catches on her thumb, drawing a bead of blood that doesn't drip. It hovers, twisting into the same spiral as the carvings. The merpeople hiss as one. Marin uncorks the vial, silver mist coiling upward like a living thing. Then we give them what they want, she says, and tips the memory into the water. The lake swallows it greedily, the surface shimmering with sudden, fractured images. Dumbledore walking the corridors at night, his wand tracing patterns on the stones, whispers of spells too soft to catch. The oldest merfolk drifts closer, their webbed fingers outstretched, not for the dagger, for Alara's bleeding hand. The plan crystallizes with terrifying simplicity. The runes in the cavern weren't just chains. They were a language, and blood, especially blood touched by the Leviathan's magic, is the ink. But to redraw them, someone has to go back. Down where the water is now alive with the creature's rage, where the wards fray like old rope, Theo's voice cracks. It'll sense you the moment you break the surface. Elara presses her palm to the lake. The scar burns white hot. I know, above them, the first bird of morning sings. Below, the Leviathan answers. The night clings to Hogwarts like a held breath, the absence of stars making the black lake a pool of ink beneath the castle's shadow. Elara's footsteps are soundless against the damp grass, but the weight in her chest feels louder than any spell, with the others trailing behind her, their wands trembling with stolen resolve. The ritual ingredients burn against her ribs, crushed moonstone in a velvet pouch, the stolen dagger's hilt digging into her palm, and Marin's whispered reassurations that taste like lies. They're not ready, but the lake doesn't care. The water isn't still. That's the first wrong thing. It moves in slow, deliberate ripples, as if something beneath is stroking the surface from below. Theo's chalk shakes as he scrawls the first rune onto the dock, the symbols slurring together where the wood is slick with moss. It's watching, he mutters. No one asks what it is. The merpeople emerge without sound, their silver eyes reflecting not moonlight. There is none, but the faint gold glow of the runes. Their spears aren't raised in threat. They're braced for impact. Marin uncorks the vial of Dumbledore's memory, its silvery threads twisting like live wires. Now she breathes and pours it into the center of Theo's half-finished circle. The reaction is instant. The lake erupts in spectral images, towers crumbling, wands snapping like twigs, a scream that doesn't come from any human throat. The merpeople wail in unison, a sound that cracks the air like lightning. Then the ground heaves, the dock splinters beneath them as the Leviathan's rage ruptures the surface, a geyser of black water swallowing the stars. Its voice isn't sound, it's a pressure, collapsing lungs and thought alike. Thieves, the merpeople surge forward, their spears flashing, but the creature doesn't even twitch. Their weapons pass through it like mist. It's not here, not yet, but the ritual circle is burning now, the moonstone powder igniting where the memory water touches it, and Alara understands too late. They didn't summon it, they fed it. The dagger is in her hand before she can think, its edge biting deep into her scarred palm. Blood drips onto the runes, and for a heartbeat, the Leviathan's fury stutters. The carvings in the cavern, they weren't just wards, they were a bargain, and blood speaks louder than spells. The creature's laughter curls around her, hungry. Clever little witch, but blood goes both ways. The ground opens, the lake rises, and somewhere in the chaos, a hand grabs hers not to pull her back, but to plunge forward. Into the dark, into the deal. The last thing she sees is the Leviathan's spiral pupils, swelling to fill the world. The water erupts like a shattered dam as the Leviathan surges upward, its scales not just black but void dark, drinking the moonlight into oblivion. Towering over the broken dock, its wings unfurl, not feathers or leather, but something worse, edges that flicker like dying film, warping the air where they touch. The roar isn't sound, it's a physical blow, knocking Alara to her knees, her wand skittering from her grip. Theo's scream is swallowed whole by the creature's laughter, a sound like bones grinding underwater. This isn't the beast from the cavern. This is what happens when hunger meets freedom. The Leviathan's gaze locks onto Alara, its spiral pupils dilating, and suddenly, she's drowning in visions not her own. Hogwarts in ruins, the great hall choked with vines as thick as dragons, students running not from Death Eaters, but from the very walls themselves, stone peeling away like rotting skin. The creature's voice slithers through her skull. You open the door, little witch. Now watch what walks through. Marin's hand clamps around her wrist, yanking her back. The vial, the last of Dumbledore's memories, shatters against the Leviathan's chest, and for a heartbeat, the creature wavers, not in pain, in recognition. The silver mist coils into shapes young Dumbledore, wand raised not in attack, but in offering, speaking words that ripple the surface of a pensive. The Leviathan recoils like it's been burned, a mistake, a distraction. Alara doesn't hesitate, her fingers close around Theo's chalk, still sticky with her own blood, and she scrawls a single ruin into the splintered wood, not a spell, but a name. Her name, the one the carvings whispered. The Leviathan freezes. The Merpeople move as one, not with spears, with song. Their voices aren't melodic. They're jagged, dissonant, the sound of waves breaking against rocks, of chains dragged through silt. The Leviathan convulses, its form fraying at the edges, but it's not enough. It's laughing again, because names have power, but only if you know how to wield them. Alara's breath comes in ragged gasps as the truth crashes over her. The scars on her palm, the visions, the way the castle guided her. She wasn't chosen to wake the Leviathan. She was made to bind it. The air crackles with raw magic as Alara's voice rises above the Leviathan's snarl. Not a spell, but a truth. It doesn't feed on power. She shouts to Theo and Marin, their wands trembling in unison. It feeds on division. The realization hits like a curse breaking. The creature's whispers, the visions of Hogwarts in ruins, even the way it twisted their fears into weapons, all of it designed to pull them apart. But the Guardian's riddle wasn't just a test. It was a key. Theo's hand finds Alara's, his palms slick with sweat, but his grip iron steady. Marin's laughter rings out, sharp and bright against the creature's growl, as she slots her wand into the circle between them. Unity, then, she breathes, and the word hums with something older than magic. The Leviathan recoils as the first thread of golden light spirals from their joined hands, not the harsh glare of a single spell, but the warm, undulating glow of 1,000 tiny connections. The lake's surface trembles, not from the creature's rage, but from the echoes of long-forgotten voices rising from the depths. Merpeople breach the water, their song no longer a warning, but a chorus. The runes along the shore blaze back to life, not as chains, but as a net, each symbol reforged by the mingled magic of wizard and merfolk alike. The Leviathan thrashes, its form flickering like a dying flame, its roars splintering into fragments of the voices it stole. Dumbledore's measured cadence, the Guardian's hollow tones, even Alara's own terrified whispers from the cavern. For a heartbeat, the creature's gaze locks onto hers, and she sees it. Not hunger, but something far worse, understanding. It knows what comes next. The light swells, swallowing the dock, the lake, the sky, until there's nothing left but the three of them and the Leviathan's final, shuddering whisper, "You only delay the cycle." Then silence, the water stills, the runes dim, and where the Leviathan loomed, there's only a single spiraling ripple, not vanishing, but sinking, not defeated. Contained, Alara's knees buckle, but Theo catches her, his heartbeat a frantic drum against her shoulder. Marin's already scanning the horizon, her grin fading as she spots the first fissure in the dock's wood, a hairline crack, pulsing faintly gold. The work isn't over, the bargain isn't sealed. Somewhere beneath them, the lake exhales. The moment the Leviathan's form shatters like black glass, the lake's surface seals with a sound like winter ice, smooth, unbroken, and eerily silent. Alara's legs give out first, the weight of exhaustion crashing down as she crumples onto the damp grass, her fingers still tingling with spent magic. Theo lands beside her with a grunt, his glasses askew, his breath coming in ragged bursts that fog the chilly dawn air. Marin doesn't so much sit as collapse backward, her wild laughter ringing out, half hysterical, half triumphant, as she stares at the sky. "We didn't die," she gasps, as if she's only just realized it. Overhead, the first streaks of pink and gold bleed across the horizon, painting the castle's towers in warmth for the first time in what feels like years. The black lake lies still, its surface mirror flat, reflecting the dawn so perfectly it's hard to tell where sky ends and water begins, but the peace is fragile. Beneath that glassy veneer, something pulses, not a threat, not an amour, but a presence, a reminder. The merpeople linger just below the surface, their silver eyes glinting as they study the trio. One, the elder who'd gripped Alara's bleeding hand, raises a webbed palm in a slow, deliberate gesture. Not a farewell, an acknowledgement. Then they're gone, slipping into the depths with barely a ripple, leaving only the faintest shimmer of magic lingering in their wake. Theo's the first to break the silence. "It's not over, is it?" His voice is hoarse, his knuckles white where they grip his knees. He doesn't mean the Leviathan. He means the cracks in the dock, the way the runes they'd drawn still glow faintly under the moss, the spiral scar on Alara's palm that hasn't faded. Magic like this leaves marks, not just on the world, but on the people who wield it. Marin sits up abruptly, brushing grass from her robes with hands that don't quite steady. Nothing's ever really over at Hogwarts, she mutters, but there's no fear in it, just a fierce, bright certainty, the kind that comes from staring into the abyss and realizing you're the one who gets to define what stares back. Elara flexes her fingers, watching the scar catch the light. The Leviathan's final words cling to her thoughts like cobwebs. You only delay the cycle. But cycles can be broken or rewritten. Somewhere in the castle, a bell chimes soft, distant, a call back to the world of classrooms and common rooms, of feasts and foolishness, and the ordinary magic of everyday life. For now, that's enough. The three of them rise together, limbs aching, robes damp with lake water and dew, but something between them has settled. Not an ending. A beginning. As they trudge up the sloping lawn toward the castle, the sun climbs higher, its light scattering across the black lake's surface like 1,000 tiny promises. And deep below, where the water presses cold and heavy against the ancient wards, something shifts not in anger, but in weight. Hogwarts has always kept its secrets. Now it has 3 new keepers. Weeks slide by in a blur of routine classes in the charms corridor, late-night essays in the common room, the occasional shriek of Peeves echoing through the halls. To anyone passing by, Elara Nightshade looks like just another Griffine door, her robes slightly rumpled, her hair perpetually windswept from racing across the grounds. But those who know her notice the way she hesitates at the window after dark arts, her gaze drifting to the Black Lake's glassy surface. The others have moved on, Theo buried in his alchemy texts, Marin already scheming their next adventure, but Alara can't unsee what lies beneath. The lake doesn't look dangerous now. In daylight, it's a mirror for the clouds, rippling gently when the giant squid lazily breaks the surface. But at night, when the castle sleeps and the water turns ink black, she swears she can hear it, a whisper, not in her ears but in her bones, like the hum of a tuning fork pressed to stone. The Leviathan sleeps, but it dreams, and dreams have a way of leaking. Dumbledore knows, she's sure of it, the way his eyes linger on her scarred palm during tea in his office, the way he never quite answers when she asks about the carvings in the restricted section that match the ones in the cavern. He offers lemon drops and riddles instead, his smile as inscrutable as the lake's depths. Curiosity, my dear, he muses one evening, stirring his tea with a spoon that chimes like a distant bell, is both a gift and a responsibility. The question is not whether we seek secrets, but what we do when they seek us. The weight of that truth settles over her slowly. She's not the same girl who followed a stolen map into the dark. The whispers have marked her, not just on her skin, but somewhere deeper. A quiet understanding that Hogwarts mysteries aren't puzzles to solve, but conversations to join. The castle breathes, the portraits gossip, the staircases remember, and the lake watches. Marin catches her staring again one evening, their boots dangling off the dock as the sun sinks behind the forbidden forest. You're waiting for it to call you back, she accuses, but there's no judgment in it, just a flicker of the same hunger that once sent them diving into the unknown. Elara doesn't deny it. Some part of her will always be down there, fingers brushing those pulsing runes, the Leviathan's voice coiled around her thoughts. The next morning, she finds a note slipped under her door, a single line in Theo's cramped handwriting. The Merpeople are singing something new, She tucks it into her pocket, her thumb tracing the spiral scar. Normal is a lie Hogwarts tells itself. The magic never stops. It just waits.